Hey, what's up? This is PJ Jacobson. Make sure you watch MotoAmerica on YouTube and you like and subscribe.
You're locked into the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, our second round of 10 for 2022 at the MotoAmerica Superbikes at Atlanta from Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia, as we set the stage for Supersport. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, two-time national champion. Now, Jason, interesting race yesterday as next-generation bikes are now in full swing here in the United States in MotoAmerica. But Josh Herrin, he was the talk of the town.
He was, and what he did yesterday, Greg, is he got out front, controlled the pace at the front to see who was going to be able to catch him. That guy was Sam Lockoff. We thought Sam was going to get there and bridge the gap, but towards the end, Josh had a little bit too much for them guys and pulled away.
Here's a look at the race highlights from race number 1, and things got away, and so did Josh Herrin.
Yeah, he got off to a very quick start, and you can see here early in the race, Rocco Landers had made a small mistake and pushed the wrong button, and it caused a little bit of a chain reaction, although when we look back at that, it just looked like a race collision between Diego Perez and Ty Scott. On the restart, Herrin got another great start. This guy here, number 88, Benjamin Smith, he dropped himself into third. I expect big things from him today, as you can see Herrin wheeling across the line. I think if Ben Smith can get off the line with these guys at the front, he can run the pace. Yesterday, he had to go through a few people, Greg, to get there.
So let's take a look at the balancing of these next generation motorcycles. You can see top speeds. It's one of the ways that we measure. Now, keep in mind, Josh Herrin on that Panigale V2, he was out pushing his own air all day long. So in a draft, you have the GSXR 750, which is next gen, and the two older bikes. Everything looks pretty evenly matched right now.
It does look pretty close. And I go back again to Daytona, where we saw a bunch of drafting and redrafting. And like you say, Herrin led every lap, so he did push his own wind.
So Sam Lockoff had a good run yesterday in second, and he's with Jamie Howe right now.
Sam Lockoff ended the 2021 season third in the Supersports points. Comes into 2022, you got a brand new bike for the weekend. When did you know you'd be on the 750 instead of the 600?
I kind of knew I was going to be on the 750 last week Wednesday, because we've been struggling to get the bike built just because of parts coming from the UK. But yeah, the only news I heard I was going to be on the 750 was on Wednesday last week. So it was kind of like, oh damn, like this is pretty cool, but oh damn, the bike's just being built, so I hope everything's good. So yeah, you know, we've been working pretty hard to get the bike sorted. A couple of electronic problems, but so far we've been getting all of the problems sorted, and new ones come, but nothing too major since the beginning. But yeah, I'm excited to ride on 750.
At the end of last season, in the last 8 races, you had 5 podiums, including 1 win. How do you continue that forward momentum into the 2022 year?
You know, I just kind of stayed racing in the off-season. I was racing at Chuckwalla in the off-season, so you know, I won a few races there, came second in most of the races, honestly. So there were some fast guys there, but yeah, I just kept racing, kept the mind strong, and came into this race with honestly the same as last year, no real stress, and I came second. So today I'm putting more stress on myself so I can bump it up one. So
Picking up right where he left off, Greg.
Certainly, Jamie, and for Sam Lockoff, he was fastest in the morning warm-up. Jason, Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, it's challenging, and it's what Lockoff is trying to wrestle down.
Yeah, absolutely. You get off into turn 1, Greg, big steep uphill into that single file section, all the way down through the S's. When you come out of turn 7 and you head down that big back straightaway, that's where we're seeing the numbers as far as mile an hour from these motorcycles. Then going down into turn 10, that's where you're going to see a lot of passing up over the top of the hill, into turn 12 to a short run to the checkered flag.
A legendary road course. The question is, in Supersport, can Josh Herrin do it again? Can he get the double? A lot of changes were made overnight, and a lot of riders are fast.
Looking pretty confident there is Supersport winner from race number 1, Josh Herrin. As well he should be. Trying to take a championship in what used to be called the 600 class, but still the Supersport class. Something he has not done before. There's a rookie in the field that made a rookie mistake yesterday. Vision wheel in for Eggstar Suzuki of Ty Scott, the reigning champion in the SportBikeTrackGear.com Juniors. Roger Hayden, I'm Robbie Floyd, and he just kind of got to wipe it out, learn from his mistakes, and come back for race 2.
Yeah, that's all you can do. You know, just put it behind you. It happened yesterday. You can't go back and change it. Learn from it, whatever mistake that he made. I think one of the things that he probably learned yesterday was how important the start is. You know, he kind of didn't get a very good start and put himself in a bad spot. So today he's going to need to get a good start, but also for him, he didn't get that first race to learn.
Yeah.
You know, how the bike's going to be with a full fuel load compared to what it's going to feel like toward the end of the race. All that's going to be a lot different for him. There's going to be a lot of stuff to learn, and then also, you know, his physical condition moving up to the Supersport. The bike's a lot heavier. The races are a lot longer. There's a lot to learn, and he kind of missed out on that opportunity yesterday.
Brandon Posh over there in the ear of Ty Scott. You see Sam Lockoff. I talked to him yesterday and congratulated him on a run. Again, that bike is very new to him, the 750. A couple things to look at, and I think this might be one of our only chances to talk about it. Yesterday, he told me shifting-wise, again, things are new, but that bike was wanting to try and find a neutral between first and second, and not just a false neutral where it pops in. When he would go from first to second, it would try and actually grab neutral. That had to be disheartening.
And also it had to kind of mess with his concentration
Constantly.
and confidence, you know, not knowing if the bike's going to be into the gear. And with that, having all those issues yesterday, you know, the issues they've had earlier in the week, what a great ride by him. If he can get all that cleaned up today, I don't see why any reason he can't go with Josh Herron.
He thought that he could do do just that. He felt like he could be a little bit faster, but again, you're in those turns and you're expecting to go into second, and it doesn't happen. Getting that drive he wants. Also, another thing, and the guys had talked about it yesterday, that fly-by-wire, drive-by-wire, the throttle and stuff. I don't think the sensor or whatever it's doing. Again, he's the guinea pig for this program, and I don't think it was at the right proportions that they thought it was. If he thinks he's giving it 10%, it might have been given it 25%, and you know you need that predictability on these bikes.
And that's the thing that kind of messes with your head is, you know, whenever things aren't consistent and you don't know where it's at when you get on the throttle coming out of the corner. So for them, having that race yesterday probably really helped them out to look at some data and get that sorted out for today.
Another guy to look for. Again, Josh Herron took the win yesterday ahead of Sam Lockoff, and we haven't talked about Ben Smith. Watch out for the 88 and Rocco Landers. Rocco Landers, the new and improved, ready to take a win in Supersport. Rocco Landers.
Beautiful look at the S's here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta in Brazelton, Georgia, as we are getting closer and closer to the start of this Supersport class. Let's get right down to the head with the grid with Hannah.
Greg, last season we saw Benjamin Smith on the podium 2 times. With yesterday's 3rd place finish, he is already halfway there. Ben, is there anything that you plan to do differently today to hopefully stand 1 step higher on the podium?
Yeah, absolutely. I just need to focus on the start. I've kind of been focusing on those all weekend. I got a good one this morning in warm-up. So just get off the start, get through that first sector clean, and just try and hang on to these leaders. I know I can do the pace, so I just got to make it happen.
Best of luck out there for Benjamin Smith, and starting 1 place higher on the grid is Josh Herron. He's with Jamie.
And Josh Herron admittedly had to work hard yesterday to win the race, lead every lap of the race. It's a physical racetrack. It came after a high side that you had on Friday. In terms of physicality, what will the challenge be for race 2 today?
I think we'll be good. We're just a little sore, but as soon as the flag drops, the adrenaline gets going, we're all good. I'm looking forward to the race today. The V2 was doing really well yesterday. Hoping it performs as good as it did, and we have a good race today. And if we're able to get that win, I want everybody to go to my OnlyFans and follow me on there. My boy Marco right here is single, looking for a lady. So if anybody knows someone, he likes girls named Emma. So
I think there'll be a party either way, Greg.
Yeah, that is such an inside joke. I can't even explain it to you, Jason. But yeah, Josh loves to create an atmosphere inside of his pit where it's very loose and it's very fun, and he does a really good job.
Yeah, he does, and that's, you got to have a good time, and you can still be on the grid in pole position, getting ready to restart, and try to get that win number 2 and still be that comfortable.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to get race action started here at MotoAmerica Superbikes in Atlanta for our Supersport class.
I don't even want to go there on what Josh was talking about on his OnlyFans, but he did kind of pique my interest. I wonder what all the stuff that you can't do on broadcast television. We probably could get away with on MotoAmerica Live Plus, but I wonder what that's all about. But I tried talking to him yesterday, and it was literally a couple of hours after the race, and he was still debriefing and talking to his crew. I mean, he wants this championship. And I think there's still more to be learned in the Ducati. And they're basically the test bed for that's the first ever win for Ducati in the Supersport under that program. They are the kind of the guinea pigs. The other guys only finished like top 3 or 4.
Yeah, and being their first race, they don't have a ton of time on the bike. So I'm sure after that first race, doing a lot of debriefing, a lot of downloading, and trying to see how the bike is throughout the whole race. They're constantly going to be learning about that bike. They don't have a lot of time. This is their first race. This is the team's first race with that bike, so there's a lot to learn.
Oh, my good. Is that a badger? What is that? Is that a groundhog, a badger? What are we talking here? Yeah, groundhog or a woodchuck. What do you think, Roger?
It's eating something.
What does it say? What's that one commercial they used to do with that squirrel there? Hey, I can't remember what it was. But, hey, the fans as well as the pets are here this weekend. And the paddock is full of them. I saw Hunter Dunham's French bulldog running around this week as well. So time to stretch your arms, stretch your legs, and get ready. Any predictions before we get to our thoughts? This is our final shot before we send it back to the guys next door. I mean, Josh looked good. The bike looked planted. The only thing I'm wondering about is what kicked him, what bucked him that made him have one of the hardest crashes he's ever had.
I'm not sure, but, with the experience that he had, I'm sure he probably learned from that. But also, I still think he's the guy to beat. And it's also yesterday, Rocco Landers, the last 3 or 4 laps of the race, was the fastest guy on track. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get a good start and have a good first 5 or 6 laps and run with those guys and, not give up so much time early in the race. And then also, we don't know what Tyler Scott can do. He's had a good pace all week. We haven't seen him in a Supersport race all year, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can do.
Breathe deep. Take it easy. You're not going to win it on the first lap or 2. Maybe even let things spread out just a tad as long as the leader doesn't get too far away from you.
Get a good start. Don't put yourself in the hole early and put yourself in bad spots.
He should be able to do that. He was getting really good starts last year when he was in the junior class. Alan was the name that squirrel would stand. Alan, you don't remember that commercial,
No.
Roger? Oh, come on. Somebody stole that dog's legs. Poor guy. Looks like me after a day at MotoAmerica, man. Again, like to thank everybody for coming out, those watching at MotoAmerica, MotoAmerica.com and MotoAmerica Live Plus. Jason Pridmore and Greg White are next door. They're going to call the action. This is race number 2. Could Josh Herrin go back-to-back?
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series, and by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Motorcycles on the grid getting ready for their warm-up lap as we're a couple minutes away from this race start. And taking a look at the number 70, Tyler Scott, chasing on that vision wheel M4 XStar Suzuki. Let's take a look at the grid. This is how they're going to start. Herrin, Smith, and Landers on the front row.
Yep, Tyler Scott's going to get another go at it today with Max Angles and Lockoff, who was quickest in warm-up this morning, Greg. Just off pole time, actually, this morning. Kevin Almeida, Lewin, Perez, Missani, Power, and Thermiotis are going to get out through row number 4. A little further back, going to get Soltis and Jones, CJ LaRoche, Liam Grant, Patrick Coleman, and Edgar Zaragoza. Tony Blackall, Ivy, Medina, Burdett, Patnud, and Sorbaro. And on the back there is going to be Jonathan Schweiger. So we're going to have a look here, Greg. We saw Tyler Scott on the grid just now, and we saw the scuffed leathers that he had from yesterday getting into turn 2. And you can see here, as he gets to the top, him and Diego Perez just run out of a little bit of room, and he goes down pretty hard. This bike flips. Tyler Scott goes out to the middle of the racetrack, and he was very lucky there to not have any other big issues. As you can see it there from a different angle, that bike slammed onto the ground and put fluids on the track, caused a pretty lengthy red flag.
Not a great debut for the Supersport class, Jay. How do you bounce back from that?
Well, obviously, I don't think the bike was too badly structurally. I mean, I know that they had a big leak, but the bike itself was probably pretty easy to put back together. He had a good warm-up this morning. Now he's just got to be a little bit more patient at the top of that hill on those first opening laps. It gets so one-lined up there. He'll have learned from that.
And Hannah, what do you think about Ty Scott's bounce back?
Greg, I chatted with him this morning, and he said, overall, physically, he's feeling pretty fine. A little sore in some areas, but nothing significant or noteworthy. As for the bike, he said it felt great during the warm-up, even on a used tire. He knows it'll be even better for the race.
All right, so Tyler Scott on that Vision Wheel M4XR Suzuki. He's on the tried and true GSXR 600, where his teammate Sam Lockoff on the next generation GSXR 750. A little misleading in calling it a next generation bike, Jay, because the GSXR 750 has been around a long time, but with upgrades allowed to that motorcycle, the only way you can actually homologate the GSXR 750 is by getting it throttle by wire and allowing it to be controlled by an ECU so they can make it a competitive motorcycle across the board. So it's time to go racing. 18 laps scheduled in this one. Josh Herrin on pole on that Ducati. Who's going to get the launch? Herrin had 2 blistering starts yesterday, and it looks like the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York rider, the number 2, it's got another good one today.
Great one. I mean, look at the gap. Greg, this is 2 days in a row. He's got 0.3 of a second on these guys as he heads up the top of the hill for the first lap. I mean, he is launching that thing absolutely perfect. It looks like Max Engels has got himself into second, and then Lockoff is third. Now, this morning in warm-up, just to give you a perspective, 28.6 is our pole time. This morning, Lockoff, in a short, brief warm-up, 15 minutes, I believe, is all they get. He went 28.8, so he was only 0.2 off of that. And I think that's going to be, again, stuff that they found during the race yesterday, the information that he's able to give back. But, I mean, look at the start, again, from Herrin. Shocking.
Just unbelievable. I mean, and it's not like, as far as I know, there's no launch aid. That's all really just practice, and Josh Herrin, natural talent, and maybe his next career as a drag racer.
Well, I mean, this is a checkout move right now. I mean, you literally can't do it any better than this, and we would never have suspected that he'd have a second lead on these guys. And you can see Lockoff now trying to draft past Max Engels, and he's able to do that, get up underneath Max, and he's got to try to go after, right now, he's got to try to go after Herrin. Now looking a little further back, Chad Lewin, big move for Chad there, number 33, jumps himself into the fight for that podium spot. He's up to 4th, a 7th place yesterday for Chad. Said he felt pretty good. He said he's being a little bit more patient. In the past, Chad's had a tennis. Somebody's off. Who we got? That's
Benjamin Smith.
Yep, this is the stuff that this guy has to stop, Greg. Ben makes too many of these mistakes, and we've seen it for the last couple of years. He's okay, but this is the stuff. He gets bad starts, puts himself behind the 8 ball, and he goes down there in 5th or 6th place, gets into one of the slowest corners or the slowest turn on the track, and makes a vital error.
So no repeat podium for the 88. Back part of your screen, top of it.
Yeah, and we've just seen it. Unfortunately, Ben's got just a ton of talent. He's got a good team and a good bike underneath him. But this is the stuff that you gotta not do, because it takes points off your championship hopes after a podium finish yesterday. But Greg, again, he's qualified second. He's running back there in 5th and 6th at the start. He's got to do better on these first couple laps.
So the Northeast Cycle Outlet Racing Yamaha R6, who just posted the fastest trap speeds, by the way, of 165 miles an hour on the back straightaway, is out. But this guy, Josh Herrin, all by himself, is absolutely checking out. 1.7 seconds by the stripe, Jason. So now Sam Lockoff's in a position, if he wants a challenge for the lead, he's got to dig deep, find some more speed, and then even if he's able to close that gap, what's he going to have in tire left?
That's right. Rocco Landers is trying to make a bid for that 3rd place as he gets under Engels, and you can see Almeida has also made the pass on Chad Lewin, who was 4th at this time last lap. Looks like he's been dropped back just a little bit to 6th. Lockoff's got a lot of work ahead of him. He does a fast second split, but let's see what this gap is as they come across the line, Greg. It's 1.7 and virtually the same as the last time through. 29.4 for Lockoff. Again, we saw him in the 28s this morning. So Rocco Landers now, another guy who always seems to find a little pace late in the race, struggles at the beginning. He's got himself up into 3rd early, so let's see if he can get those lap times and start closing that gap to Lockoff. Although I think Lockoff is he's gonna be a hard guy to catch.
Kevin Almeida on the 16, also in the mix in that group. The El Salvadorian rider on that N2 Racing bobblehead Moto Yamaha R6. There's a good look at Olmedo. And Kevin Olmedo is one of those riders that we've talked about the last couple of years, Jason. We're expecting this could be a year where we see him start to break through and become a consistent front runner. We know he's got the skill to do it. It's a matter of putting the pieces together.
Well, injuries have been a part of Kevin's young career as well with his shoulder, and we saw him try and come back last year. I think the shoulder was a continuous problem. He had that worked on. New team, new bike for him. So for Kevin, it's all kind of getting restarted again and getting his health back underneath him. Not going to find a happier guy in the paddock when you run into him either.
No, he certainly always has a big smile on his face, Jason, and he talked about making that change from the Suzuki to this Yamaha for this year. And there are a lot of changes, a lot of things to get used to. But morning warm-up today, he did the whole warm-up session on yesterday's race tires and was consistently able to put down some lap times, as we see a rider down that he was happy with. So look for Kevin to move up a little bit.
And Jay, it looks like the 33 of Chad Lewin is down.
I could see something going on. It almost looked like Chad was in a false neutral. He was looking like he was going to go up underneath Max Engels. I don't like to see that he's a little wobbly right now, Greg. Might have hit his head or dug his head into the sand there. So let's have a look. You can see there, looks like, yeah, he's got it, and he's high-sided himself on the way in. So I don't know if he had the presence of mind of getting his arms tucked, which is a good thing to see. Such a bummer for Chad because he's got a nice start. And I don't know, maybe talking to him later, we'll find out if he got a neutral or something. Battle back up at the front, Greg, 28.8 that last time by. It was almost a full second quicker than your leader, Josh Herron. So Lockoff has got those tires up to temperature, got a couple laps under his belt on this bike, and having the confidence to know that you can do 28s consistently, which I think this young man can do. That's going to give him the confidence in seeing Herron getting closer to him.
Jason, you're absolutely right. In talking to Sam, he said he definitely thinks he has the pace to battle with Herron, and if he's able to get around and maybe even pull away, everything's really new with the bike, so he's feeling like they've definitely made some big progress since Friday's sessions. They did shorten gearing to have higher RPMs coming out of the corners, so hopefully that'll make a difference for him. Talking with crew chief Jeremy Toy, he said, despite all of the challenges of setting up this new motorcycle, Sam has been really positive and really optimistic, so that's made it really easy to work together.
Well, it's been really fun, Hannah, seeing Sam grow, hasn't it, Greg? I mean, we've watched him come from the Junior Cup classes. He was able to battle with the top runners there that year, which were Rocco Landers and Dominic Doyle. And we've seen him just continually progress. He's a very coachable young man. He's got good people around him. So he's just going to continue to improve. Fitness is never a question with Sam. He's got that it's down to second now. So that last lap, Herron responds and goes 0.2 quicker. But for this guy's on this team, I mean, he found out last week or something that he was going to ride the 750? Wednesday, I think he said.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty wild to think. And I really believe that last night, after getting the laps under his belt that he got, he's going to be able to go back and talk to Jeremy at Toy about that stuff. See, Almeida here is closed in on Landers as well.
Yeah, so just last time by the stripe, it was Kevin Almeida who set the fastest third sector split, but Rocco just did it in sector number 1. So Landers, it looks like he's grabbing a bit of an adjustment on motorcycle. That left part bar, he could be adjusting the brake lever, but a 34.6 in sector number 1 matched evenly Kevin Almeida did to Rocco Landers.
Down to the 1,000. 34.693 for both riders in the first sector. They're on personal best splits here in the second as well.
And that's the final spot on the podium that Landers would be standing on right now, and Almeida's hungry for it.
Yeah, and Almeida's the guy that's kind of been able to bridge that gap back. So we'll see what these guys are doing lap time-wise. 29.3 for Herron, 29.2 for Lockoff, 29.3, 29.2 for these guys as well. So they're all running the exact same pace at the front. It's that crazy, amazing start that Herron had that split this field up initially. I think Lockoff, as he went up the hill, looked a little closer still.
And one of the things Rocco learned yesterday when he went back and rewatched the race was that he just didn't push hard enough the first couple of laps and had to push too hard in the middle, overwork the tire for the end of the race. And so that was really his goal. We saw him stay up front early on today, so he's certainly going to be happier with that. But remember back to last season, there were a lot of times where Rocco just didn't look comfortable on the motorcycle. He wasn't able to move with it in the Supersport class the same way that he was back in Junior Cups. Well, in the offseason, he put the work in. He's lost 24 pounds since we ended the 2021 season. He feels so much more comfortable and better able to maneuver out there.
Well, that's always going to make a big difference for sure. And we got to remember, Greg, Rocco, with as many things as he's accomplished, is still a pretty young guy.
Yeah.
And he's still finding his way. So he's going to just continue to improve. A little bit further back now, we're looking at Luke Power and Max Engels as they're locked in for 6th and 7th here. So Luke Power doing a really nice job by the way. I think he was top, was he 7th yesterday, I believe, also. I'd have to go back and look. But Luke Power doing a really good job here, running 6th place right now. Best lap time of a 30.2. So like the last time by, Luke Power was only 9/10 off of the leader of the race. The leaders at the front right now both just match times at 29.4.
So Luke Power on the 3D Motorsports LLC out of Australia, coming over doing Daytona. And right behind him, sitting there in this position is a guy from Daytona, Max Angles, Jason, who showed a lot of promise in the first session as we saw him, and he was right with the leaders and running the pace. And I think that for Max, you've got to say, even though he's in 7th right now, it's getting up front with the caliber of rider of the Josh Herons and the Lockoffs and the Landers and so on that gives you and builds you confidence.
Well, there's no question. We saw he got a really good start today, but we saw a couple of riders like Max at Daytona shine. He led the Daytona 200, and the fact is that that's the kind of racetrack that you have, Daytona. It's kind of a specialty place. Let's get back up to these leaders here as Josh Heron and Lockoff have both done the exact same split, 34.7 in that first split. Now, it's been at a second. It was at 2.1 seconds, I think, on the second or third lap. Lockoff was able to get it to a second, and he hasn't really been able to make any big inroads since then.
See, but the question, Jason, is if you're Lockoff and this gap is kind of stabilized, 1.2 to 1 second, do you try to push now and just put the pressure on Heron's tailpipe, or are you trying to manage your tire until you get to maybe the last 5 laps and then try to close this gap down?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on Heron. If these lap times look like they're pretty easy for Josh, and he was able to do these lap times late in the race yesterday, he was down into those low 29s, and he could just keep clicking them off, and that would allow him to pull away just doing those times. So maybe his tires are just able to take this punishment that he puts under him and not be too worried about it.
And Josh will say that the consistency that you're talking about is actually what won him the race yesterday. He approached today with a little bit of a different strategy, and that he realized that he was able to do that because he was out front and in front of everybody else. And you have to remember, this is a class of riders that he doesn't have a whole lot of experience with. He doesn't know what their passing would be like. He doesn't know what they would be like in a battle. So he thought it would be safest to push as hard as he could at the very beginning, get out in front of them, and then not have to worry about what it would be like if he did get caught up.
Well, Jamie, those dream starts that Josh has had has really shown his experience in the sense that he's out there now just trying to hit his marks. And the way he's riding right now, Greg, maybe he'll never have to engage with anybody all season if he gets those kind of starts. And these guys allow him that 1.5 seconds at the beginning, because that's so hard to make back on the caliber of rider that Josh Heron is.
Back in 5th place, Tyler Scott, who's on that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki GSXR 600, set his personal best at a 29.4. That's matching the leader Josh Heron's pace at a 29.3, and last time by, Tyler Scott was able to set the fastest Sector 1 time, even with 11 laps to go. So this Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team, there's Tyler Scott in 5th place, having a better run at it today.
Greg, in talking to Tyler Scott, he said, after yesterday, he was hoping to just get a better start, be a lot more patient. But this weekend is the first time that he's seen this motorcycle at all. So he got on to ride it for the first time on Friday. It's also his very first time racing a 600. He said it came together really late, but he really wanted to make that jump up from Junior Cup so that he could learn and grow it as a rider, and he's doing just that.
Yeah, plus the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team, so excited. We know the capability of Tyler Scott as a racer. What we don't know is how he's going to progress through these larger displacement motorcycles.
Well, I think as young as he is, and has there been a better team over the years in the paddock than the Vision Wheel team as far as bringing in young talent and getting them up to speed? This guy skipped our Twins Cups class and he went straight to our Supersport category. And the neat thing is he's doing it with a great team with a lot of experience. It's going to help a young guy like this, and look at how well he's doing. That last time through, Greg, he's really making a run on these two guys in front of him for the podium. He was over a 1/2 second quicker than Almeida and Rocco Landers. So Ty Scott is definitely on the move right now, and with each lap he's learning. With the laps that he didn't get yesterday,
yeah, like almost a dozen.
Right? Think how much that cost him because he didn't get those race laps. He's probably racing on what he was going to go into race 1 with yesterday. So you can see how well they've done with him and this bike to get him going the speed that he is.
If you think about how agile a 16-year-old mind is at learning and how quickly it can adapt and learn, even a dozen laps in race trim yesterday, That's a big loss, but that's why I think we're seeing this progression right now. So right now, Tyler Scott's on the move, and it's just not too far up the road, a possibility of a podium.
Yeah, and it's there for him because I think that he'll be close enough to Almeida when they come out of turn 7 on this lap, where he might be able to get into the draft. So he was a little bit closer than that when they got to the top of the hill. So Almeida's put that little chicane at the top 2, 3, 4 section. He's done a nice job putting that together. These guys here are still 1.1 seconds adrift of each other. Lockoff just can't quite get to that spot. This is where I was thinking that Tyler Scott might be able to get close enough. But I don't think he's quite there yet. We'll see the speed of this Suzuki compared to the Yamaha as Almeida has a look over his shoulder. And if he's done that at all the last few laps, that gap he's going to see is really starting to come down.
Comes Tyler Scott, the 70. Looking right there it goes, Jason.
That's the draft I was talking about. He was able to do it. The Suzuki was really fast as it came out of turn 7. And you can see he's made that pass on Almeida. He's going to be looking up the road now at Rocco Landers. Last time through again for Tyler Scott was another personal best lap time for him. So he is running along in 29.3. Herron did 29.2 the last lap. By this time, Herron goes 29 flat. Let's see what Tyler Scott does, 29.2. That's compared to a 29.9 of Rocco Landers. So again, he knocks another half second off of that podium.
So Tyler Scott, the 16-year-old, is on the gas. The Pennsylvania native who spent a lot of time in Florida this winter training, riding some supermoto and motocross, putting it all to work for him. And he on the right part of your screen.
It looked like he just went off the track. Yeah, he just went off the track, Greg.
Yeah, so a little mistake by Tyler Scott. So he had that pass. He was able to work his way up into 4th, now back to 5th place. So he's going to have to gather it back up. He didn't crash, another good lesson for the 16-year-old.
Well, the problem is that now he's still got 8 laps to go. He starts jumping back into those low 29s again, and we can see him maybe start to edge that gap back. I don't know. Yeah, he might be close enough just to start to sniff this draft as they get to the kink at the back of the hill. He might be in a perfect spot right now to maybe try to get that spot taken right back. You can see he's in the draft on Almeida. He's going to go to the right of him this time, make that pass a little bit easier. So even though he went grass track in this lap, he still has 7 laps to go. Just got to settle down a little bit. Remember, the easiest place to make big mistakes are slow areas. So turns 2, 3, 4 are those areas. It's so narrow and easy to get into the grass like he did. So now he's just got to try to clean that up a little bit, put his head down, and just keeping these low 29s.
Now, Jay, for those of you who are wondering if he had any inline 4 experience before he arrived here and saw his race bike for the first time, he does. He does have a GSXR 750 that's stock. It's got a pipe on it, but he was able to ride at New Jersey and Barber Motorsports Park, and at those particular CMP, Carolina Motorsports Park, which is a track in the southeast. And at those racetracks at Barber, he was only a second on a stock GSXR 750 off of the Supersport track record there. So he has had some inline 4 experience, and with that 750, he's actually going to a full race-blown 600. It actually it's a little bit slower in terms of acceleration and speed. So not only is Tyler Scott thinking about the future, but his dad as well, and that's why they got him that bike, because they were hoping he was going to be in the position that he's in right now and sign that deal with the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team.
Well, you could tell, Greg, he's got a lot of experience, and when you talk to him, there's a maturity about him as far as the racecraft goes that you can see on track, and what he was doing last year, kind of how he would plan some of his races and go into those things with a plan. And he's going to be the same way here. And as you get older and as you get more vast, you end up getting better people around you that can also help with some of that stuff. So they go through the first split, and he actually lost a little bit again to Rocco Landers. So Rocco's kind of responding a little bit right now. Let's look, see what they are when they come across here this lap. 28.8 again for Lockoff, by the way, who's closed that gap to under second. 29.5, 29.6 for 3rd and 4th.
I think it's worth noting, Jason, that Rocco Landers, as you know, Tyler Scott and Kevin Almeida are trying to close a gap to them. Both of those riders are on a new team this year, so everything is brand new for them, where Rocco Landers, is having a better time keeping them behind him because he has all of last year's data to refer to. Not only that, but leading up to the race season, he's been doing a lot of work with Joshua Hayes. He's a champion in his own right. And between those two things, it's really making a difference from him. His performance is outstanding right now.
No question. Having a guy like Josh in your corner is never going to hurt anybody. But when you look at what Rocco's good at, he's always been pretty good last half of the races. And we're seeing that again right now. He runs 29.5 that last time through. So he's still about a half second off of what the front two guys are doing. But Scott wasn't really able to make any really big inroads. And it looks like, again, they've gone the first sector split is the exact same. Looks a little bit closer now as they go down the back straightaway, Greg. Like it might be a little bit closer than 1.3 seconds that it was the lap before. So we'll have to have a look in the second sector and see if Scott's gone through there a little bit quicker. He has, almost half second.
Yeah, so Tyler Scott is chasing down Rocco Landers, but also Sam Lockoff is on the tailpipe of Herrin. He's getting awfully close. And Sam Lockoff just goes 28.721, the fastest lap of the race again, and he does it on lap 13 of 18. So here comes the young South African getting after Josh Herrin.
This is where Herrin's really good up through here. He's been amazing through that little section. So let's look, and you can see the difference in lines through that left. How Josh, he gets through that little chicane area. Yep, big one for Lockoff. Lockoff knows that's where he's losing in time, and that is the race gone now.
Yep.
That is it. That's 5 to go.
All that work done.
Yep.
And just like that, one twist of the throttle, and he spins it up, and he saves it, but off the track.
As a rider, though, you know where you're losing time, so you start to think, okay, I'm not going to try to make up that time anymore. I'm going to just try to get through there the same pace. Well, Herrin's pace up through those chicane area, this bike is so good, so nimble, and he makes it look so easy. And you can see, Greg, that the first split times there, Herrin just happens to do the fastest first split of the race at a 34.6, gains almost 2 seconds.
So Herrin's Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team right now frantically changing the pit board because Herrin's getting ready to come up onto the down into 10A, 10B, final corner onto the front straightaway. So where they had 0.5 as the gap, now they're going to be able to show 2+ seconds. So that'll also give Herrin the good information. But Rocco doing a good job, still in third place, holding off Tyler Scott.
Yeah, but that gap's come down a ton as well. We're going to have a battle for third, I think, by the end of this race. As you can see, Ty Scott has done another personal, Rocco's done a personal best second split, but Ty Scott has definitely closed in on this lap. Last time through, it was a 0.9. Another 0.3 knocked off, 29.3 to a 29.6 of Rocco Landers. And Ty Scott now is in the same boat that his teammate was just in, trying to get up onto the back of the guy in front of him. So let's see how these two get through this little tight, twisty section. It's funny, Greg, because it's only about a 5 seconds sector when you look at it from the entry to the exit of that.
But
again,
critical.
Look at that. Look at how good Rocco got through there.
Yes.
Rocco absolutely smashed it, and that's well over a second now between those two riders.
And by the way, Josh Herrin, in response to the push that Lockoff gave him, just did a personal best 28.923 up front, and then went best sector 1 split this late in the race. How good are these Dunlop tires holding up? As Herrin has a look around going like, wait, what happened? It was 0.5. By the way, Rocco Landers just set the fastest sector 1 split time of the race with 3.5 laps to go. So Herrin has a good look around. Jay, I think at this point, Sam Lockoff has kind of decided, look, second place is better than in the weeds.
A lot of racing to go this season, and on a bike that you've never really knew you were going to ride until
first race weekend.
First race weekend on the bike. I think the team is going to be happy with it. They don't. Teams want to win just as bad as the riders, obviously, but they're going to take these 2 seconds, scoop them up, head up to VIR in a few weeks' time, maybe develop a little bit more and get that bike closer. But really, this weekend's been about this guy and this team.
So Josh Herrin crushing it right now. He's looked at his pit board. He's seen now the gap. He's obviously confirmed it, and he's dropped the pace by a whopping 1/10 of a second at a 29 flat. As Sam Lockoff continues in second spot, and we're looking at the gap back to Rocco Landers, and 29.3 for Rocco Landers. So other than Josh Herrin, Rocco Landers in third was the fastest on the racetrack, but he's got 3 seconds to make up in less than 3 laps.
Really nice work.
Sam Lockoff.
Yeah, really, really nice work from Rocco. Just responded nicely. He's got about what has he got, Craig? 3 seconds behind Lockoff, even though he was almost a 1.5 seconds quicker on that lap. Don't know if Rocco will have the time to catch up to Lockoff as we see a flag out there. I didn't see that. I didn't see what that flag was, Greg, but it was definitely a flag as they come up over turn 5. But this guy, true to form, he gets faster and faster as the race goes. I think if they can figure something out, it could be maybe on a full fuel load or whatever it might be, but if they can figure something out at the beginning of the races so that he can stay a little closer to these guys, he might have pace at the end.
Jason, as we look at Josh Herrin marching his way towards another checkered flag if he can hold on, Sam Lockoff has drifted now to about well, 5.8 seconds behind. So that big push and that big rear tire warning really set him back. Rocco Landers is in third. If he can hold on to that third place finish, it would be Rocco Landers' 50th career podium in MotoAmerica already.
Amazing. Yeah, it's incredible. Like I said, this guy's got a ton of experience in championships. Right now, he's closing the gap, 30.7 to a 29.4. It's 1.3 seconds, 1.4 seconds that he's gone quicker. So that the gap has actually come from over 3 seconds down to 1.7. I think that Sam's going to be able to manage it, but that last camera shot we saw of Sam coming up out of turn 11, you could see that rear tire was struggling for grip for sure.
I mean, I think he's really overcooked it, and that was the concern. But keep in mind, this is the development bike for Lockoff and the Vision Wheel M4 Star Suzuki team. This is the first GSXR 750 that has been on the racetrack that's homologated for next generation rules. And so all the development, if you want to run that bike in World Supersport, you go to the team's foundation, which is Team Hammer, and you get the parts to make this bike the way it is. So they're constantly developing it, and we're waiting to see who's going to pick it up and race it in World Supersport because it's legal. So Lockoff doing a great job, but there's just no data. I mean, there's really the amount of data you have is a small test and then every single lap, every single corner they've done this week. But
this is going to be a good test this weekend.
It's a great test. But also for this, Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York, this is the Ducati Panigale V2 that Josh Herrin is racing. Ducati's behind this effort. So the information they gather in World Supersport, the information that they had at Daytona test and everywhere else they've gone to test this motorcycle, they're also continuing to develop. So for Josh Herrin, one more lap to go. He's completed 17. And obviously with that big incident that Sam Lockoff had coming down out of turn 2 through the S's and all that situation, the gap has grown, and Rocco Landers is now only 8/10 behind Lockoff. Lockoff just trying now to hold on to a podium position.
Well, he'll be able to hold on to a podium position, but it'll just depend on if there's any traffic or any of that stuff coming through there, because Tyler Scott and Almeida have also switched places. Almeida's up to 4th, Ty Scott 5th, so not sure what happened there. And this is what's good about Herrin. I'll tell you the impressive part about this for me with him so far this weekend, Greg. The second that he saw +1 or 2 back on his board, he just dropped into the low 29s again. Minute 29.2, minute 29.3. Last lap back was a 29.7. But it's made it to where when he comes to these back markers now, he can be a little bit more relaxed. He doesn't have to worry about somebody behind him, or he can be pretty chill going through these guys. But he really did a nice job controlling this race, because when that gap was coming down, he dropped himself into the 28s. And it just goes to show that low 29s were just very easy for Herrin here this weekend in Atlanta.
So when Josh Herrin announced that he would be racing back in the Supersport class for the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York team, there was a lot of expectation on his shoulders. What is Herrin going to do? Is this guy the guy we know in Supersport? As he comes through the final corner onto the front straightaway, it's going to be 2 for 2 here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, for the number 2, Josh Herrin. Answering the critics.
Wow. And
can Sam Lockoff? He does it. He holds on to second place. Rocco Landers on an incredible charge will finish 0.3 of a second behind Sam Lockoff, who in his first outing puts that Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki on the box. So we have Ducati, Suzuki, and Yamaha. 3 different manufacturers all occupying victory lane. So Josh Herrin, his race pace, and this is where the pressure was applied, Jake.
Yeah.
That lap 9, and that's when we know that Herrin had so much in the tank.
See those times? 29.4, 29.3, 29.4, 29.2. Uh-oh, somebody's catching me. Boom. Into the 28s and into the 29.0s. And that's just experience. That's knowing what you have underneath you. That's controlling the pace, controlling your race, putting pressure on your competition. And I don't know if there's anybody that does a better stand-up wheelie.
Can't wait to hear how Josh Herrin viewed the race when the pressure was on mid-race. We'll find out after this.
Robbie Floyd with Roger Hayden, and Josh Herrin knows how to wheelie, doesn't he? He's got that thing dialed in. Were you a good wheelier back?
Not at all. I am not a very good wheeler.
Did you practice?
Well, I can do it with the power, but not like what he can. He uses he can wheelie. That's a real wheelie.
Yeah, the only thing I can wheelie is a wheelchair, unfortunately. That is poetry in motion. We do not suggest you attempt this at home, only on a closed course, away from everything else. But yeah, he's got that balance down. Hey, that was a good run by him, and I think the guys called it. I think Josh, when he knew he was losing too much, picked it back up and he found that speed.
He was just really consistent, you know, just clicked off those low 29s, high 28s the whole race. And Sam was catching him. Sam was really coming on strong. About 5 to go, he had that really big moment there in the S's.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of his, was kind of his wake-up call of, hey, second is good enough today. I'm pushing it too hard. I'm about to end up on the deck.
Didn't it seem like, though, I thought once Sam kind of made it up just inside 1 minute, it looked like Sam kind of backed off. Maybe he's letting those tires cool down. I think it looked like he felt like he could charge and maybe get up there with Josh. Then he took some time off. When it was time for him to get back on it, he did close in, but then he made the mistake. Are those tires starting to go off for him? Did he push too hard early?
Well, maybe because we talk about the start, how important it was. You seen what Josh Herron did off the start. You know, he pulled off over a second. He's going to do the backflip. See if he lands it. Can you do that, Robbie?
No, I could not. I wouldn't try that. Too many concussions for me.
And a set of leathers, too.
Yeah. Yeah, don't try this at home. Again, lucky fan getting a knee puck there. Great run by Rocco. But, again, those top two, it looked like we could have a battle towards the end. Josh had enough there. Sam, I don't think, had enough tire left underneath it. And Rocco giving him a kudos. Good job between the two young guns who raced each other and juniors just 2 years ago.
Yep, now it looks like they've kind of carried that over to the Supersport class, and these two are going to battle it out all year. We're going to see some good races between these two going back and forth, and, Rocco's pace was great throughout the race, just, really needs to kind of get those first couple laps a little better.
Rocco, you and I talk when we're off air, and you watch him. He needs to get better starts, doesn't he? I mean, he's putting himself too far back early on to really put himself in a position to win the race.
Yeah, and I think he knows that, and he's working on it, and he's getting better. It just hasn't. I think he would like for it to happen a little bit sooner. But if you look at his race pace, low 29s, he was matching the leaders, but he's 2 or 3 seconds back. You know, he did reel in Sam toward the end, but just spotting him too much early.
Yeah, it's not like it was just today. Yesterday we saw the same thing. At the end of the race, Rocco Landers comes on really strong. And good enough for a podium today behind Sam Lockoff and Josh Herron. Coors Light's going to be flowing for Josh Herron after the races.
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Let's start you off with our Geico saves of the day. This is a big one right here for Ty Scott.
So easy to do right there at the top of that hill. We talked about it a lot. This looks, yeah, that's where Tyler Scott made a mistake late in the race. Slow corners. It just never fails. Let's get these slow corners, and we make a mess of them sometimes. So Ty Scott ends up 5th at the end of the day. This guy here stopping on the cool-off lap with Lockoff, throwing some knee pucks to the kids and things. Well done, Rocco Landers.
Josh Herron, 4.9 seconds over Sam Lockoff, is able to hold on to it. And Rocco with a great run, his 50th career podium. Kevin Olmedo and Tyler Scott that close at the end. Max Angles, Luke Power on through the field. So another one for Josh Herron. And that has just got to make the folks in Bologna, Italy very happy. And Hannah, it's definitely got to make Josh Herron happy.
A near-perfect weekend of racing for Josh Herron, pole position and double victories on the weekend. Sam Lockoff started to put some pressure on there mid-race. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a hard race for sure. You know, it was a little bit, I feel like for some reason our race, no matter what time it's at, it's heat of the day, so it's pretty hot. The Ducati V2 is running great the whole time. It's crazy whenever the fuel starts dropping off, how much quicker the lap times start dropping. You can see it with me and Sam getting the low 29s. But like I said yesterday, I knew that if I just kept pushing and kept doing those consistent times, in my head, I believe that we could create a gap towards the end. Not sure what happened to Sam there at the end, but we were able to get it and cruise in for the victory. So it's a good way to start the season. Daytona was a little bit bittersweet, and it's good to repay the guys with the 2 victories this weekend and a pole. Got Ducati's first 2 victories on the V2 in the world, so it's pretty awesome coming in from the race and getting a message from Paolo Ciabatti. And with Danilo getting the win yesterday, it's an awesome weekend. Happy to have Griffin here. Thank you to the whole Warhorse, HSBK Racing, Ducati New York team. Thank you to all the sponsors that support us. Got to thank Fresh and Lean, Rye Helmets, Alpine Stars, OnlyFans, Cardo, Black Claw, everybody that helps me out. Thank you to all the fans for coming out. Thanks to my crew, Cody, Thanks to the crew, everybody that's involved, Cody, Fuzzy, Dave Barron, Simone, Mauricio. There's too many names to thank. Thank you to everybody, Bobby Scheck, the DeNaples. I know I'm running time here, but thank you so much. Thank you to all the support. Like I said, it's been a hard 3 years mentally, and it feels really good. It's doing wonders for my confidence. Josh Hayes says he's coming to Virginia, and you know, I'm excited to go race him there. It's going to be a fun one, and yeah, just thank you to everybody. Congrats to these guys for getting on the podium. Thanks.
Congrats, Josh. Let's get over to Jamie with our second place finisher.
And second place today goes to Sam Lockoff. It is his second podium of the weekend, second place of the weekend. Sam, you had closed that gap down to just over half of a second. One slight mistake. The finishing was 4.9 seconds. What's your biggest takeaway from this weekend?
You know, nothing but positives. I'm extremely happy with how the bike went. We struggled a little bit in the first session, but you know, we've been progressing, and I just want to thank Vision Wheel, M4, Exos Suzuki, powered by Team Hammer, because man, they've been working day and night to get this bike sorted. Last year we finished third in the championship. We haven't finished behind second yet, so I'm very excited to see how the season continues.
Certainly a lot of forward momentum. Congratulations on second place. Hannah?
Rocco Landers replicating his result last year with a third place finish. He is rounding out our podium here. Rocco, you really started to make up some time there. You were pushing really hard toward the end of the race. What gave you the confidence to do that so late?
Yeah, around lap 7 or so, my tires started to feel like it was starting to lose grip, but I felt good. As my fuel load started to go down, I kept trying to put the pressure on and started to catch up to Sam. I think if I had a couple more laps, I'd have been able to knock it out, but this is my 50th podium in MotoAmerica. It's a good milestone. I wish it could have been a little further up, but of the off season, I've been working super hard. My whole team, my dad, my mom, my whole family. Josh Hayes has been helping me out so much. I couldn't recommend working with him enough. Yamaha, they've helped me out so much over the past 2 years. Looking for a dub later this season.
Congratulations to Rocco Landers on his 50th MotoAmerica podium, guys.
Yeah, so great job by Rocco Landers. And of course, Jason, you want to make your 50th the first position, but hey, man, baby steps.
Yeah, and he said it's fuel load. You know, it's something I just talked about. So that is a thing for him as the fuel load goes down. As you get to look at the points here after 2 rounds, same podium as yesterday as far as first and second goes. Rocco Landers puts himself in third, and you can see what it did to poor Benjamin there back in 7th now. So Almeida 4th. Luke Power, really nice. See him 5th in the points from Australia, and a nice result for him today as well.
Well, Josh Herrin gets it done, and he's looking forward to our next round. It's going to be May 20th through the 22nd from Virginia International Raceway. Make sure you join us there in person or right here. Can Josh Herrin do the hat trick at race number 1 from VIR? We're looking forward to seeing it for our entire crew. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.